Hey guys, today I want to break down a couple of things. First off, why I fish a Strike King Thunder Cricket. Number two, exactly what trailers I use for each depth of water. And number three, my exact setup, line, rod, reel for fishing the vibrating jig. Find out right after this. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about a bait that's really close to my heart. It's definitely one of my favorite baits that I've ever used, and that's the Strike King Thunder Cricket. It's a vibrating style jig. It resembles like a chatterbait, and you know the thing is chatterbait was the original vibrating jig, and it's a great bait. Catches a lot of fish, has and will continue to catch a lot of fish. The Thunder Cricket is a Strike King product that just came out last year. And when it first came out, I was very hesitant. I'll be the first to tell you I was not a fan. And mainly because I just wouldn't pick it up and throw it. I mean, let's be honest, like, the jackhammer was out. The custom chatterbait that you get from Tackle Warehouse was out. And there were some other ones. You know, there's guys that have them made and have had them made for quite a while. And they're all good. I mean, all of them are situational. I think they all have their place. But I want to explain to you the reason why I throw the Thunder Cricket. So the Thunder Cricket has a lot of really unique features. First and foremost, the hook. The hook is a 4/0 owner jungle hook, which happens to be my favorite flipping hook that's made anyway. So it's a natural progression for me to use this because it's still my favorite hook to flip with. The other thing is it has the Arky style head that you want on a vibrating jig. But I'm going to tell you the biggest reason I throw the Thunder Cricket. And it's because not as many people are throwing it yet. Because I can tell you, if you look on every pro's boat, right now they either have a Chatterbait custom, they have a jackhammer, or they have some custom job that they had their brother-in-law make in Ohio or wherever. So, and that's fine. But the deal is this Thunder Cricket sounds completely different than a jackhammer under the water. And I think that's one reason I get a lot of bites on it. Here coming up soon on Scott Martin Challenge, you're going to see me putting the beat down on them guys, throwing the Thunder Cricket, him and Jacob Wheeler. And I'm telling you right now, man, this Thunder Cricket straight up catches them. Comes in a lot of colors. I try to keep it really basic on colors. And in this video, you're going to see me break down exactly what style of trailer I use and why. And most of the time, it has to do with the water depth. So let's jump right into that. So, first off, the four colors that I primarily use are chartreuse and white, green pumpkin, bluegill, and black and blue. I feel like with those four colors, I can pretty much cover the spectrum of what I need to fish. And if I need to adjust the color, I can adjust it with the trailer. And I've always been a big proponent to, if you want to adjust a color, adjust the trailer color. Keep your skirts pretty consistent, because if you don't, you're going to have 50 different colors and you're not going to know which one to pick up. And so if you keep it basic like that, you'll always pick up the right color, because you're going to base it off of watercolor, location of where you're at, and what colors work best. So basically, when it comes to the pre-spawn, and I'm saying early pre-spawn, there's only two colors that I like to throw. I like chartreuse and white, and I like black and blue. And I base it purely off of where I'm at in the country. Like, if I'm in Florida, I'm going to throw black and blue. If I'm in Texas, more than likely, I'm going to throw chartreuse and white. And this is the pre-spawn. Actually, more like pre-pre and pre-spawn. But when those fish move up to spawn, I throw three colors. I throw the bluegill, I throw green pumpkin, and I throw black and blue. Rarely will you see me throwing a white and chartreuse chatterbait or Thunder Cricket whenever it gets during the spawn. For some reason, it seems like if it imitates a bluegill or something like that, I get more bites. When it goes to post spawn though, that's really when I pick up the chartreuse and white, or even a white sometimes, but I like having a little chartreuse in my bait. I've always been a big proponent of having chartreuse. Don't get me wrong, I know you can get bit on flat white, but I really like to have that little transition of color in my bait. So chartreuse and white is pretty much the color I throw all the time. So without further ado, I'm going to break down the trailers, and I'm going to explain to you when I throw each trailer, and I'm going to also include what depth of water I throw that trailer. So first off, I'm going to start out with a bait that Strike King made, and it's specifically made for the Thunder Cricket, and that is the blade minnow. It's 4.5 inches long. It is a bigger profile shad body trailer. It's really unique if you haven't seen one before. As you can tell, it's a longer bait. It has little bitty ridges right here on the bottom side, so that gives it supreme action. You rig it up on here, and as you can tell, this is about how long it's going to be. A fairly long bait. So, to explain why I use this and when I use this. So, I will use the blade minnow when I want to keep my Thunder Cricket down in the water, and I need to upsize the profile. So, profile is everything on a vibrating jig. I will tell you this, 90% of the time I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket. Just something about that 3/8, it catches them. Well, if I'm in deeper than 3 to 4 foot of water, so like 3, 4, 5 foot, is when I actually turn to the blade minnow. The advantage of this is it keeps it down, but still gives that bait a big enough profile in that depth of water that fish can see that bait and eat it. The other bait that I throw when I want to keep my 3/8 ounce my 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket high is a Lake Fork Magic Shad. I use the 3.5 inch version of this. Basically, it is a size down of the blade minnow. So here's the blade minnow, and here is the Magic Shad, okay? And I throw this in white. I don't throw it in green pumpkin. Rarely do I ever. But I just grabbed it for video's sake. But as you can tell, the profile is a lot smaller. So when you put it on that Thunder Cricket, it only comes down to about that far. So this is the perfect shad body profile for fishing that upper water column. So if you learn anything today, know that when you're fishing that Thunder Cricket and you want to keep it high and you want fish to see it but don't get overwhelmed by it, you need to downsize your trailer just a little bit. And that's when I go to that Magic Shad. Alright, so the first thing you see, the first two trailers I like is the blade minnow and Magic Shad. The second trailer I like has a little bit more action, and I'll explain this. Whenever I'm fishing in a little bit more tannic water or stained water, dirty water, I want a swim tail type trailer, not one of these. You see, as you can tell, there's no swim tail on this. This is just a split tail bait. It's very erratic, but it doesn't push a whole lot of water. That's when I actually turn to the swimming caffeine shad. As you can tell, this is a 4-inch swim bait. It has a circular paddle tail. This is the perfect swim bait trailer for your Thunder Cricket. You know, we make a Rage Swimmer. Rage Swimmer's great. I think the Rage Swimmer actually kind of works against the Thunder Cricket a little bit, and that's why I actually turn to the swimming caffeine shad. I think it's a superior bait, especially as a trailer. But I want to explain something to you again. So if I'm fishing in less than 3 foot of water is when I fish the 4-inch caffeine shad. So in this case, I'm going to have this paired on the bluegill color. This is a Houdini colored caffeine shad. And as you can tell, the profile is fairly small. I always bite down a little bit of it anyway. It's just something I always do. And that's the caffeine shad, the small caffeine shad on the 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket. So that's 3 foot or less, okay? So whenever I'm fishing in deeper water, and when I say deeper water, that 3 to 6 foot or 8 foot is when I actually go to a full-size version of the same caffeine shad. So I really believe in throwing the full size in deeper water. As you can tell, the profile is a lot longer. It gives you that profile in deeper water. They can find it, they can track it. And this is definitely one I turn to if they're in a little bit deeper water and I need to upsize that profile. Okay? And last but not least, probably, it's definitely become my favorite trailer to throw in a Thunder Cricket, far and beyond, like it's nowhere close to it. And that is the Rage Menace. If you've watched any of my videos before, You know I really like throwing that Rage Menace. And the cool thing about it is I rig it vertically. So if you can imagine this, if you're fishing it on a swim jig, a football jig, something like that, you want to rig it flat where that bait's coming through the water with the paddles flat. Well, when I rig it on the Thunder Cricket, I'm actually going to rig it vertical, just like this. So whenever it's swimming through the water, and this is the sideways view, this is what you're going to see. But Strike King did something here recently that I'm absolutely in love with. This is the original Menace, okay? This is the 4-inch Menace. This is one that everybody's fished on swim jigs, football jigs, Thunder Crickets, whatever it may be. And I have two. But there was something missing, and Strike King took notice to it. And that was actually a Mag Menace. So here's the Mag Menace. And I want to show you the size difference between the Menace and the Mag Menace. So here's the size difference right there. As you can see, there's about probably close to an inch in size difference here. And you're going to say, okay, why? And obviously the tail is quite a bit larger as well. But you're going to ask, okay, why would you need that bigger one? Well, I'm going to tell you this. When you get in the tannic waters of Florida, or let's say a muddy water, or really a dirt type place, that's when I go to the Mag Menace. I recently shot a TV show with Strike King down in Florida, Okeechobee, and we were fishing the 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket. And I first started throwing the regular Menace because that's just my go-to, and I couldn't get any bites on it. I mean, like, I could not get bites on it. Well, I switched to the Mag Menace because I was like, you know what? I might need to upsize that profile. I was fishing that Thunder Cricket down in the water and about 3 to 4 foot, and I was like, maybe they just can't see that regular Menace. And I'm going to tell you right now, it made me a believer. That big Menace made me a believer. And it's just something about it. The profile's a thicker body. But I can tell you this, too, which I found very impressive. As I only had to change trailers like twice. And I caught a lot of fish and a lot of really big fish. Like, I was actually extremely surprised how good this thing performed. But, so that's my trailer breakdown. You know, I do keep it fairly basic. But at the same time, I'm very scientific about my approach. If it's shallower water, I want to decrease that profile. If it's deeper water, I want to increase the profile. So that's a good rule of thumb. So if you've watched any times when I'm fishing a vibrating jig, I'm throwing 2 different types of line. And most of the time I'm only fishing one, but there's the occasion that I'll fish braid. So if I'm fishing braid, I'm using the new Strike King Tour Grade 30-pound braid. 30-pound braid is a really good go-to. I don't think you really need to go heavier, especially on a vibrating jig, because if you're having to go heavier than 30, you're fishing for like gigantic fish in a place that you probably shouldn't be throwing a Thunder Cricket anyway. So I don't go heavier than 30. The only times I really go to that is when the bite is so light, where I'm in some really heavy cover, or around some heavy cover. And just something about that braid, you get the hook up, it's pretty good. But I want to emphasize this because I think it's extremely important. On the 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket, I've done a lot of testing with it. I've fished it a ton. I have night and day performance by fishing 15-pound Strike King Tour Grade fluorocarbon. I used to only fish my Thunder Crickets, my jackhammers, my Chatterbaits on 17 to 20, and a lot of times on 20. And when I first got the Thunder Cricket, I was fishing it on 20, and I couldn't get bit on it. I mean, the action wasn't what I wanted it, and it just wasn't working out for me. And when I went up to Canada and fished against Wheeler and Scott, I had a rod up there that had 15-pound tour grade fluorocarbon on it, and I'd just gotten the line. I'd taken it up there to test it, and I'd actually been throwing the Thunder Cricket quite a bit, but I'd been throwing it on braid. I wasn't catching them, and so I tied on my Thunder Cricket to some 15 that I had just laying there, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it was like just night and day, the difference in bites, and like, it was insane. I've never seen anything like it. Like, I can literally just put everything else away now. I can pick up my same rod and reel that I throw everywhere I go with 15-pound Strike King Tour Grade fluorocarbon, my 3/8 ounce, my 3/8 ounce Thunder Cricket, and I can just go to work on them. I don't have to like guess what size line I need to throw here or there. I'm keeping it extremely basic now. It's 15-pound line, period. And I think that when you start talking about that, the setup is equally important. You want a high-speed reel. I'm going to tell you right now, like, there might be a video floating around there where I was using a 6/8 to 1 reel. And I still think there's certain situations that you need a 6/8 to 1 reel. But I've kind of gotten away from that. And for better or worse, I've actually turned to a 7/5 to 1 Hyper Mag. I get a lot of bites on it. I catch a lot of bass on it. And with that same 15-pound fluorocarbon. And my rod is a Team Loose Custom Pro Mag Hammer rod. And I've talked about the Magnum Hammer a lot. It's the most versatile rod that Lose makes. I can fish a red-eyed shad. I can fish a Thunder Cricket. A spinnerbait. There's just so many different things I can fish with it. It's not something I turn to for a worm rod, but definitely a moving bait. Even like a big square bill, stuff like that. This is the rod I turn to. It has the perfect amount of tip, but a lot of backbone, so you can set that hook. And honestly, you can fish your 30-pound braid or your 15-pound fluorocarbon on this rod, and you don't have any difference in the hookup ratio. It's not too heavy for it. This rod has that perfect load to it, to where it doesn't pull the bait out of the fish's mouth. I caught a bunch of fish doing this where they've been barely hooked. So that would prove to you that when you have those barely hooked fish and you still land them, there's definitely something you're doing right. And I think my setup is definitely part of the bigger reason why I'm catching those fish. So with all that, I appreciate you taking the time out to check out this video. I really love throwing this Thunder Cricket. And I just love fishing vibrating jigs in general. You know, there's a lot of great ones out there. I hope, though, with me breaking down exactly how I fish this Thunder Cricket and my exact trailers, my exact setup, that you can take this Thunder Cricket out there and have the same success. Because by no means am I just the world's greatest vibrating jig fisherman. All I'm doing is trying to share with you how you can go out there and catch a bass. And I know without a doubt, if you rig your Thunder Cricket up the way that I've rigged it, you try these trailers out, you try out the size line with the Thunder Cricket, you're going to put more fish in the boat. And you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Because I can tell you, like, definitely, without a doubt, one of the best ways to catch big bass is throwing a Thunder Cricket. You can see it in the latest Bass Pro Tour event on Lake Eufaula. Todd Faircloth, Kevin Van Dam. Quite a few of those guys were catching some of those giant bass using the Thunder Cricket. And they're not talking about it that much, but I'm telling you right now, if you tie one of these on, you're going to catch you some bass.